everyone, it's author Sandra Wilson from the Kindness Kangaroo Library with another Storybook Trail. The idea of the Storybook Trail is to give you steps to take to move along the path to get yourself to creating a story of your own. Some of those steps will be lessons on inspiration, expanding your imagination, and some will be a function and foundation of the story itself. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and check it every month when we have a new lesson, a new step along the Storybook Trail. Today we're talking about redesigning a common idea and changing it out a little bit to add to your story, to create a unique twist to your story. So first we think, what are some common ideas we might be able to use? So it could be a hobby that you have or sports that you play, and take that common idea and move it into something not so common. So let's take, for example, the idea of a hot air balloon ride. Maybe not so common, it's not something everybody does, but maybe you have done it, or maybe you would like to do it. And so that would be kind of a neat idea, to create a story. Where does it go? What do you see? All those kinds of things. But take that idea now, what do you see? Where does it go? And start your imagination exploring in that sense. Then redefine that idea to a little bit of a twist. So what if it was an underwater idea and the hot air balloon was a pufferfish that puffed up and traveled around the ocean? Or maybe it was just somebody that gave you rides, like a taxi. So you can take a common idea and switch it up a little bit to change the imaginative idea for that story to something new and fantastical. And then take those ideas and expand with those questions. Where are they going? What are they going to see? How long does it take? Who's going? Who do they meet along the way? Is it a round trip? Do they go all the way around and back? Do they go somewhere and stay? Is it just for quick trips? Is there any problems along the way? What if the puffer fish runs out of puff? Then what happens? Is there a way to reinflate it like you would a balloon, or fill it with gas like you do with a car? What happens to keep it going? What does it need to keep going, and how does it keep going? And where do they find the stuff to keep it going? Becomes a fantastical story that can take place underwater, that you can learn maybe a little bit about the pufferfish and why it puffs up, what it needs to puff up, what it needs to survive. You can learn about the ocean and all the different things that you might see under there. But you could also use your imagination and create a world that we don't know about, a world that you can just put in your imagination to create that story. So sometimes it's just getting that inspiration, that little spark to your imagination that can take your story all around the world or all across the ocean. So think about something common that you maybe know. Maybe a hot air balloon ride isn't something you know enough about or would be interested in. You're too afraid of heights to go on a hot air balloon, so you don't really want to think about it. That's okay. Think about something that you enjoy, a hobby, a sport. Maybe you like horseback riding. Well, what if it was a different type of animal that you rode? Maybe it's a dinosaur, maybe it's a unicorn, maybe it's a seahorse, and that just changes where the story takes place, but also the different aspects of that kind of story. So if you're riding horses, sometimes horses will jump in competitions and things like that. So they jump over different barriers and fences and things like that. So if it's a seahorse, they wouldn't have quite that. So what kinds of things would the seahorse do that might, sort of represent a jumping horse, but would fit better into the ocean environment? Or what about a unicorn? Maybe it ends up flying, and that would be different than what you would have from a horse. But what you do is you start with the basics of what you know about that hobby or sport or thing you like to do, and then you imagine it completely with a twist, completely different, in a different environment, in a different way. And then that will take that story even further. So he's like, I'd like to, have a story about, riding my horse and the fun that we have just riding the trails, and the time we get to spend afterwards, feeding and grooming, cooling down from the trip. that's a great idea. But give that story a little bit more fantastical edge. Give that story a little bit of a twist, a little bit of an excitement, and then that builds something exciting for people to read as well. So that's their challenge for today's step on the Storybook Trail. Find something fairly common and then give it that fantastical twist. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Make sure you check out all the other lessons, all the other steps on the Storybook Trail, so that one day you can have a story of your own. Thanks, everybody. Bye.